Right, so I'm actually in my local stream for this video. I'm actually in the Wallop Brook, which is a lovely chalk stream which flows into the River Test, and it just happens to be across the road from my house. So I thought it would be an ideal opportunity to talk about some of the wildlife that you find in chalk rivers. So in total, the world, probably in the whole world, there's about 200 chalk rivers, and the UK has about 85% of those, which is really, really great. Chalk rivers are lovely and clear, full of minerals, and they tend to stay the same sort of temperature all year round. So you'll find quite a diversity of plants within a chalk river and a huge range of invertebrates and fish. So I'm going to show you a little bit today about some of those invertebrates that you can find in the water here. Right, so I've had to improvise a little bit here. I don't have the normal white tray at home to use for this, so I've used a series of margarine tubs to show you some of the creatures that we found down in the river a few moments ago. So I've put the more interesting ones in this small margarine tub to have a look at. Now you'll see in here two larger species, two larger insects. So these are two mayfly nymphs. Now these we'd probably call common mayfly, or Ephemera danica is the Latin name. Sometimes they're called burrowing mayflies because they tend to burrow into the silty patches in the river. Now these two are really, really big and ready to fly. So they'll live in the water as a nymph for a couple of years, and then on a lovely warm still day in May, they will all rise out of the water, shed their skin and become the sub-adult actually first of all, and then they'll need to shed their skin a second time to become the adult, and that's actually unique in the insect world. So that's quite interesting that they do that. This one is very dark in colour on its back, and so that tells me that it is very close to flying. So I will definitely put these back into the river in a few moments. They are quite distinctive. They've got three tails at the end of the body there, and you can see the gills moving on their back. They are one of about 51 different species of mayfly that we have in the UK. These are the really big, creamy, sort of coloured mayfly that I suppose the name mayfly comes from because they fly at this time of year. But there are other species that will fly at different times of the year. They're interesting because they live for 2 years in the water as a nymph, but the adult stage only lives for a few hours. So they don't have a mouth to feed, they just literally display, they mate, they lay eggs, and that's it, then they're fish food after that. So those are the mayflies. We also have in here, I can see a freshwater shrimp whizzing around there. We've also got these really interesting caddisfly. I love the caddisfly larvae. These ones are the cased caddisfly. And what they do is use the gravel in the river, stick it together and form a tube, and they live inside that tube, and they'll carry that tube around with them, and they'll add to it as they grow to make it bigger. They've got hooks on the end of their body which they attach onto this tube. So we've got one of those in there. We've got the mayfly, we've got the shrimp, and there was another mayfly that I spotted earlier in here, a different species, a blue-winged olive, and they are very distinctive in how they move. So a lot of these creatures, you can tell what they are by the way that they move. The blue-winged olive tends to do a sort of rocking horse motion in the water. It almost looks as if it's fallen in and shouldn't be there. And it has 3 tails like the other mayflies, but it has quite stripy legs. So they're quite distinctive if you see those. So that's the blue-winged olive. So all of these species are really important, obviously, because they are down near the bottom of the food chain. And if you have a lovely, healthy chalk stream or river that has all of these invertebrates, the chances are it's a pretty good habitat for some of those higher up species, things like water voles and otters, for example.